Charlie Rocket, welcome to the show.
Man, thank you for having me.
Man, you mentioned you're a delusional optimist. What does that mean?
When I was in the music business, I was just a cameraman at first, and I noticed how all the biggest celebrities operated. And I was taking note, and I noticed one thing in common, and it was delusion. The way they would speak about exactly what they saw that needed to be created. And I guess that's what truly a creator is somebody sees something and they know it's real. And if they told it to somebody else, that other person would probably say, you're crazy, because only that person could see it. And over the course of my life, I saw this pattern, and it's kind of like this law of delusion. And that each one of these people who were madly successful, that was so delusional in their belief of exactly what was going to happen in their life, it always came true. Good or bad. Not just good, but good or bad, because there would be some people that were so toxic and so negative with what they would see. Paranoia versus pronoia. Paranoia is the universe is conspiring against me, and I would see that in the entertainment industry. And pronoia is the universe is conspiring for me, and I would also see that in the entertainment industry. And both people got exactly what they saw. And as a delusional optimist, my whole life I've had really, really big dreams, and every single dream came true. And I started refining it as I got older, and I saw that there was a really interesting way to live life as a delusional optimist, because bad stuff would happen to me my whole life. Whether it was being morbidly obese or getting diagnosed with a brain tumor or being treated like absolute shit by some of the biggest celebrities in the world as a young man in the music industry, even getting my food spat on. And I look back at it and I realize through all the shit that I've been through in my life, I am here today, and I could reflect and realize there hasn't been one bad thing that ever happened to me. It all was exactly perfect for who I became and all the dreams that I got to achieve. And I've gotten to achieve some really interesting dreams in my life. Like when I was a kid, I wanted to be an athlete, but I was overweight. So I just buried the dream. I needed something to be good at. And then I go on to, there was this thing that happened to me, man. I'll just be straight up. I was in middle school, and there was this girl, and she made me feel so insecure about something. And I never let it go. She had a Source magazine that had all the celebrities in it, all the rappers and singers. And she pointed at me. And she pointed at one of the celebrities and said, "Charlie, do you know who that is?" And I was like, "No." And she started laughing at me. And then her friends joined in. They were like, "You don't know who that is?" And then pointed at another big celebrity. It might have been Janet Jackson for all I know. And I was like, "I don't know who that is." And they were making fun of me. And I made a promise to myself at that moment. I'm not just going to know who these celebrities are. One day, I'm going to create them. And I saw this vision in my mind that I was going to be this big time businessman in the music industry. But I used a bad situation as a delusional optimist to take a bad and use that as that rocket fuel to create everything. Kanye had a line in a song. He said, "Everything I'm not made me everything I am." And that is a beautiful thing when you're an optimist, because a situation that's bad is only bad if we label it as bad. It's really good.
Yeah. Do you think a common denominator in people that are successful is this delusional optimism?
I think so. So delusion is this gift of imagination. And when we're young, we have an imagination. And then you look at the most successful people in the world. They see things. Think about like a Steve Jobs or a Elon Musk. They see things. And it's not a matter of if that's going to happen. It is a absolute fact. And me as a dreamer, when I close my eyes, I see things. And it's important for all of us to reinstate that delusion and give it permission to be back in our lives, because most people would say to somebody that says or claims their identity as like, I'm delusional, they would be like, that's a bad thing. Is it?
Do you think that optimism might be the wrong word, though? Because when I think about optimism, I kind of think that within optimism, there's hope. It's like you have hope that it's going to work out, because an optimist is like, yeah, I'm believing that it could be good, not bad. And I feel like a word that resonates with me more is maybe delusional confidence, because it's the common denominator that I see in so many successful people is how confident they are. Like they speak it and then they do it. And it's not a matter of, am I going to achieve this? It's just a matter of when. Like they know they're going to achieve it. They've already achieved it. Time's just catching up.
That's right.
Like it's that true confidence, right?
That's right.
And the delusion is a necessity, because like you're trying to do something that's extremely fucking hard and most people won't be able to achieve it. And believing it's possible is one thing, but then the superpower is believing that you are the one that can make it possible and you're the one that can do it. Would you say that there's this underlying confidence in all these people that you meet and yourself that have achieved such greatness?
Absolutely. It's a absolute knowing that when I speak, like, for example, people will say all the time, don't tell anybody your dreams. Their energy is going to block the blessings. And like, they even say like, don't say anything, you're going to jinx it. I believe it's the exact opposite. Like, I believe that's like a little like devil's mantra of like, don't tell anybody, because the word abracadabra, what's the first thing you think of?
Magic,
right? The origin of the word abracadabra it's an Aramaic word, and it means as I speak, I create. How many species on this planet can create? There's only one. I mean, a bird can make a nest, a beaver can make a dam, but like, look at what we're in.
Yeah.
There's only one that knows how to do this. How many species on this planet can speak?
Just one.
Just one. They say speak it into an existence. That's not an accident. You speak, you create. Abracadabra is literally spells that we have the ability to do. We can cast a spell with our words. Letters? What's it called?
Letters.
Spelling.
Yeah. And I think when you look at this, I agree with all of these things, because I truly believe the subconscious doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's fake, and these programs that are operating in the background, they're there for a reason and they're controlling us. And a lot of the time, the people that don't have the belief are probably telling themselves these horrible stories that are reinforcing a horrible identity that's leaving them stuck, which is why they can't achieve these dreams and achieve these goals. It's like you're trying to change the behavior in your life before changing your identity, and this is where things can go wrong. But then I guess a big part about your brand is obviously dreaming big and having this like expansive view of what you can achieve and what you will achieve. Talk to me about this, and talk to me about this big damn book that's on the table that you walked in filling both hands into this studio. What's this big book that we've got on the table?
So this is one of my mini notebooks, but this is my big one. And when I was young, I had a goldfish. His name was Chuck, named after me. And I had him in a nice little goldfish container. And then I wanted to get a couple more fish, so I got like a big one that could hold like 3 fish, and those fish were called Pinky and the Brain, and then Chuck. And when I had the bigger one, Chuck grew, and then we had this like cast iron tub that we had outside, and then we put Chuck outside in it's like a pond basically, but it was a cast iron tub as a pond, and Chuck got really big. and it was a goldfish. And I was like, okay, the container grew in like this like magical occurrence that my goldfish grew. I thought it was it was like, no, he can get bigger just based upon the container. So I've always had this like practice of, if I write on a small piece of paper, when I get to the end, my mind usually stops thinking. It's Parkinson's law. You fill the container you're given. So if I would have a bigger notebook, I'd be writing my dreams. And when I got to the end, I felt like my brain would shut down. And I was like, what would happen if I wrote on an even bigger piece of paper? I started doing this exercise where I would write this one word to stimulate something in my mind. And I'll say bigger. And then what would flow after that was me like practicing, exercising my delusion of what could be bigger, which is an imagination. So I would just write it, and then I would write the word bigger, because my goal, I have to get to the bottom. And it doesn't feel right writing my dreams on a page and getting halfway. That feels very incomplete. So I just keep writing the word bigger and then think of a bigger idea. And the second like I would see it is the second I would believe like, oh, that's a possibility. Because possibilities are it's like the most beautiful word, possibilities. And so many times we're programmed to like think of the possibilities of what can't happen. Like our brains are going to go one of two ways. Here's a negative thing that's happening in my life, and my imagination's probably going to spiral out of control with all the bad things that are going to happen. That is also imagination. You ever had like somebody you were kind of like in a little bit of friction with, and you got to like see them, and your brain is like spiraling into a delusional imagination of a series of events that are probably way worse than it probably actually will be? But that's what's possible from our brain. But our brain can only think about one thing at a time. So what if I fill my brain with all the good things that are possible? And then it's kind of like brainwashing. Now, brainwashing sounds like such a bad concept, but think about it. It's actually like a beautiful word, washing. Like you get rid of the dirt and you wash it with what you want it to be, nice and clean. I want my brain to be nice and clean. So one of the things I do every single morning is I do this practice, and it really like stimulates my positivity and optimism. And I do this thing called winning streak. And it started at Starbucks. One morning, I was in a very dark place in my life. I was sick with a brain tumor. I was morbidly obese. I was in the music industry at the height of my career. And I was feeling like such a loser. And I needed to feel like a winner. And I identified like that simple thing. I just need to feel like a winner. And there's so many bad things happening in my life. But I was like, what if I declare that I'm going on a winning streak? I walk into Starbucks and I asked the barista, I said, can I have a double shot of espresso on ice with a splash of almond milk? Not like a whole lot of almond milk. I'm trying to lose weight. A splash of almond milk and 2 raw sugars. And she said, that would be $2.47. I said, all that happiness for $2? Some people need Lamborghinis for happiness. Some people need mansions for happiness. But this little cup of coffee, I said, I'm on a winning streak. And she kind of giggled. And I was like, okay, when you're on a winning streak, what's the next thing you think of? A win. Do you have a sports team?
I mean, back home, Australia, we play AFL.
AFL. What if they've won 11 games in a row? What are you thinking of?
They're going to win.
They're going to win 12. It's only one number, 12. When you get to 12, what are you thinking of?
13.
13. Now, if you lost 11 games in a row, how much hope do you have?
Not a lot.
Not a lot. So when I went into Starbucks, I caught my first win. And then I'm just looking for wins. Green light, win. Good parking spot at the grocery store, win. I'm just like stacking the wins. I called my mom. She answered. Like, that's a win. I'm like, my mom's alive. Like, one day, like, that might not be a reality. Like, that's a win. And then it's like, you start feeling like a winner. So you look for wins, and then this like confidence comes over you that I am a winner. And in reality, the wins were always there. But the same exact thing happens with just being freaking human, because we are wired to look for the losses. It's our natural state. Have you ever driven down a street and there's a car wreck on the side of the road with like 3 police cars and an ambulance? You can't not look. It's almost on the verge of impossibility not to want to look. There might be the most beautiful sunset in the world happening at the same exact time. But how many humans are going to actually look at the sunset instead of the ambulance?
Yeah. No, we do have this negativity bias. We lean towards the negative. The crazy thing about this, though, is, you were saying you can only focus on one thing at once. And when we look at all the most life-changing moments in our life, they are the low times. So when we look at the most life-changing moments in our life, they're low. But when we're looking back at them, we laugh or we smile because of how much they changed our life. We're grateful for them.
Yes.
So looking back at time, we can laugh, which means we can laugh in the moment as well. Easier said than done, but we have the ability to do it. And so I love this frame of going like, if I'm going to laugh at this later, why don't I laugh at it now? Like, there's no point being upset about this thing. Admittedly, the reason you're probably upset about it is because you haven't experienced something that's of greater stress. And so it's a new feeling that you're trying to navigate. I understand. And maybe if you do want to, have an easier life, you can go through some more shit and your life will get easier. But for the most part, like, if we can be aware of the thoughts and feelings that we have in our lives, we will know that we can kind of choose them, positive or negative, dwelling or getting excited. And I think this is a big part about your message that you share that's so amazing. Talk to me about if it's always been this way. Have you always had this optimism, or do you feel like it's been onboarded through some experiences in your life?
I still, to this day, don't always have it. I am extremely human. I am very, very emotional and passionate, despite all I've done in my life. I just don't enjoy staying in a bad situation. I'll give you an example. I'm in high school and I started a business. It was a music website and it's starting to do well. It's like a media outlet for independent artists in Atlanta, the dance era of Atlanta hip hop. And my mom gave me a camcorder for Christmas, and I started filming all these artists, and my website started taking off. This is the early days of YouTube. Like, YouTube is like year 1, year 2. And I end up going off to college because my mom, she said, if you don't go to college, you got to pay rent. And I wasn't really interested in paying rent. I really didn't have the money to pay rent because I was paying so much money for my servers. My website was kind of like SoundCloud before SoundCloud. So I ended up going to college, and I wasn't meant to be in college. It was not my thing. Like, I had this like vision of being a successful businessman, and college was such a distraction. And one day I'm on the college campus signing up for my second year of school. I lost my scholarship and I needed a miracle, and the miracle came. My phone rang. And it was a 310 number. And the caller ID said Beverly Hills. And I never got a phone call from Beverly Hills in my life. And it was a guy by the name of Brian Washington. And so I answered the phone, and he said, this is Brian Washington from Interscope Records. I said, how can I help you, Mr. Washington? He said, is this Charlie? I said, yes, it is. He said, we just signed this artist, and he wants you to be his cameraman on tour. I said, absolutely. I would absolutely love to. Who's the artist? And he said, his name is Soulja Boy. And I said, I know who Soulja Boy is. And I think this is my big break. So I said, Mr. Washington, I would absolutely love to, but I need to ask my mom for permission. And he said, how old are you? I said, I'm 19. He said, okay, go ask your mom and then call me back. You got my number. So I go home to my mom's house, and I had to frame it in a way because I'm like her little baby, and I know she only wanted one thing. She wanted me to get a college degree to fall back on. And I said, Ma, there's this record label, the same record label as Gwen Stefani, and I'm not naming rappers because I don't want her to be scared. So I'm naming all the pop artists, Black Eyed Peas, and I said they want me to go on tour with their newest signee. And she got real silent. And when she was like walking around the kitchen like Mr. Miyagi, her hands were behind her back. And I'm like, what? And she turned around. She said, when an opportunity opens, you have to walk through that door. She said, you can go on tour. But she said, you got to pay rent. I said, why I got to pay rent? Like, I'm not even going to be here. If your stuff is here, you're paying rent if you're not in college. I said, okay, deal. So I'm on tour with Soulja Boy, and we're going across the world. He had the number one song in the world at the time, Crank That Soulja Boy, and I'm his cameraman. And album's coming out October 4th, 2007. And the last show of that tour was in Atlanta, Georgia, my hometown. And the next morning, we're supposed to fly out for Jimmy Kimmel. And that night, it was a big celebration for us. But he said to me at the show, he said, let me see the diamond chain, because he let me have like this really nice like diamond chain. He said, I'm going to get it washed. I'm going to get it cleaned. And so I was like, man, like, okay, like I gave it to him. And the next morning, we're supposed to go to the airport for the Jimmy Kimmel show, but nobody sent me the itineraries, which was very strange because every morning we go to the airport. So I just go to the airport myself thinking I'm going to run into everybody, but nobody's answering my phone calls. After about 4 hours passed, I realized, like, I think I'm fired. Like, I know we're supposed to be going to LA today. And I get back on the MARTA bus, confused, kind of scared and broken because this was a really big opportunity for me. And I go back to my mom's house and I say to her, I think I'm fired. And she got sad. And I said, Ma, don't be sad. She's like, why? I said, this is the greatest thing that happened to me. She's like, what? You just got fired. I said, Ma, I'm the cameraman. I'm the lowest paid person on the team. I am treated like shit. I have been disrespected so many times, and I have to even beg for my money, and I got my food spat in. And I'm the lowest paid person on the team. I said, this is a winning streak. She said, what do you mean? I said, I'm about to be the highest paid person on the team. I would have never quit this job. It was too cool. They did me a favor. So I had this like period of feeling sad. And then I realized, like, if I find the win in this, I won't play this loop of anger, hurt, scorn, bitterness, because that is a loop of not getting my dream. Why sit there in that? It's just a more fun way of life of realizing that Santa Claus delivers the presents when it's dark. Something bad happens. There is a dark moment. Santa is delivering a present. And so I'm going to be a manager. She said, do you know how to manage artists? I said, look, I'm going to be the best manager there is. Why? Well, because I'm the cameraman. I know how to edit the videos to go viral. So I can make my new artist that I sign famous by myself. Most managers don't have that skill set. And I got to go to every radio station the past 6 months, and I met every DJ because every DJ liked me because I was putting them on the internet. So the DJs loved me. Everybody likes to have, this is back before cameramen were normal. Very few people had, like, we weren't even filming on digital. We were filming on tapes back then. This was 2006. And so I'm looking for every reason that this was a gift. This is the beauty of being delusional. Because the second you find the win in a loss, like 2 L's equals a
W.
Lesson learned. It's a win. And do you know how fun life gets when you aren't mad at anybody, it's a good way of living life. And so I practiced this. I signed a girl group. Okay. Another dark moment. Oh, you're going to like this one. So I get fired from Soulja Boy. I say I'm going to be a manager. It didn't happen as quick as I thought. My life got pretty shitty for a little while. I find myself in New Orleans passing out flyers for a NBA All-Star after party. Just 4 months ago, I was in Las Vegas in the Hugh Hefner suite with Soulja Boy and Kanye West performing at the VMAs. And now I'm passing out flyers. But Santa Claus delivers the presents in the dark. There's this artist that I'm with. His name is Young Envy. And there was this girl he was talking to that he really, really liked. And she was an artist. She was from Atlanta. And he showed me her music video. And I said, that's going to be my artist. That's going to be the group that I sign. And if I never went to New Orleans passing out these flyers, I would have never found my group. So I approached the girl group. They're at their grandma's house. I put a contract in front of them, a management contract. This is going to be my first management client. And they signed it. And I told them, abracadabra, I said, I'm going to get you a record deal. Did I know I can get them a record deal? No. I don't really know any record labels other than Interscope Records. So I signed them. I called up Interscope Records. And in 24 hours, I had them a record deal. I get them doing shows. Next thing you know, we're traveling. And that's when you start making it as an artist. And we're in Washington, D.C. doing a show, and I'm like their biggest fan. I'm on the side of the stage singing every word, and I'm just like so happy that like this is my big opportunity as a businessman. They get off stage, and they won't even like talk to me. They really like cussed me out. And I was like, what is going on? They're like, you didn't give us water. And I'm like, this doesn't feel right. Like, I'm like, we're in Washington, D.C. doing a show, and like, we're going to the airport, and they took like a separate car as me. They wouldn't even stand by me in the airport. They wouldn't even go through the same line in TSA as me. And I'm back in the airport, and I have this like feeling like, I think I'm fired. And it's like, why does this keep happening to me? And I got the greatest lesson of my life was through these two scenarios of being fired. Because my mom, she was a vacuum cleaner salesperson, and she had a manager for her branch where she sold vacuum cleaners. And I said, there was this one manager that you worked for that you just loved him. And you know, most like managers in sales are like alpha male, like you need to sell more. And my mom's just a little Southern lady, but there was this one manager she loved. I said, can you introduce me to him? His name was Bill Cook. He was on a horse farm up in North Georgia, and I go sit on a bucket in the mud. And I'm telling him my situations of how I keep getting fired. And he said, Charlie, you think this is all about you, don't you? I said, yeah, like, what do you mean? Like, this is my life. He said, they're firing you because you think that this is your show. He said, if you want to be successful and you want all your dreams to come true, you need to focus on making other people's dreams come true. You need to be of servitude. I said, of servitude? What do you mean? Like, they're signed to me. Like, I'm the manager. He said, you're going to keep getting fired. He said, you need to flip it. You need to ask them what their dreams are, and you need to wake up every single day and fulfill their dreams and watch all your dreams come true.
Where did the optimism come from? Was it from all these experiences, or was it just built? Because what you're explaining, and it's awesome to hear some of the stories, but I guess like there's probably a lot of people that don't have this ability to be optimistic, and they've got this pessimistic nature about them where everything's a problem, nothing's good, everything's bad. Would you say that the reason you've got this lens is by something in specific, or is it just been like a common sense, like let's go, it kind of makes sense, let's not focus on the negative?
Nope. It comes from one thing. What's fun?
What's fun?
I want to have fun. I want my life to be fun.
Yeah.
That is it. And it is really simple. Is it fun being negative?
No.
Is it fun looking at possibilities and optimism?
Yeah. And I guess here's I love how simple it is because it's so fucking simple. This whole lens of what value does being negative have? Try and find one thing that is positive about being negative. So why do you even have any of it in your life? We're all human. We all make mistakes.
It's
we all have
addictive.
days where we don't want to get up and we don't want to do the thing. But what's the actual point of living in that lens?
The reason why people are negative is because it is a drug. It's 100% addicting. Gossip is addicting. Negativity is addicting. It is a cheap drug.
It
is crack cocaine.
Well, yeah, it is. But at the same time, I just don't think you feel good about it either. But what it does do is it maybe avoids you having to.
Who
do
feels
the work
good about
yourself.
doing crack cocaine though?
I mean, I don't know. Like, in the moment,
they're not proud of it.
They're not proud.
They're not proud of it. There's nobody that's proud of doing crack cocaine, but it's addicting. But they're not proud. So, what is also addicting? Being a dreamer. Being a delusional optimist is honestly addicting because it is fun.
Let's go back to this big book because I think there's a lesson in just the book in itself, and it represents a way of thinking that's contagious. How good is it being around someone that just wants to shoot for the stars? Unless you're not willing to shoot for the stars yourself, because if you're around people that have such big dreams and you don't have any belief in yourself, you can kind of feel like you're worthless when you're around these people, and it's a bit hard. I found that I was speaking to someone a couple of days ago, sitting in your seat, and he was explaining how when you grow so fast and you have such big goals, it's hard to keep people around, like a lot of people, because a lot of people don't really have this desire to, so then they just feel shit every time they meet with you, which is interesting. But there's something that it symbolizes where you're shooting for the stars, and people just want to be around that because they know that they're going to want to shoot for the stars when they're around it as well.
I have an example that I can maybe this will hit home for somebody who's watching. Have you ever been to Las Vegas?
I've only been in the airport.
You've been to the airport. Have you ever been to a casino?
Yes.
Okay. You have two friends you're going with. You don't gamble. You're there hanging out, having a good time. You're actually just being a good running buddy. One of your friends is winning, and it's like back to back to back to back. And then like a couple people start surrounding them. And then like everybody starts cheering. You've seen that scene in the movie where like they're like, ah, and then he's going again, ah, and he's going. Now there's like this like crowd of people, and there's like this like magnetic pull to a winner. And then your other friend is losing and loses and loses and loses. People are allergic to that. Who are you hanging out with?
The winner.
Only.
Yeah.
It's not even a thought. Like, I do not want that contagious. Both are contagious. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
Losers attract losing and winners attract winning. Let's go back to Starbucks. Winning is a choice. Winning is a choice. Let me tell you, abracadabra story about a casino. I'm in Florida. I'm with my best friend, Langford, and I'm with my girlfriend, Neve. And I woke up this morning and I said the words, Wheel of Fortune. And I like to troll my best friend and get on his nerves. So much so, I want him to tell me to shut the fuck up. Like, that's how much I'm going to try to get on his nerves. And I said the words Wheel of Fortune 500 times that day, at least. Now, we're out helping people doing our nonprofit work, and the whole day I'm saying Wheel of Fortune, and he's like, shut up. And I'm like, Wheel of Fortune. And then when we were done helping all these kids, I was like, let's go to the casino. It's right up in Fort Lauderdale, the Big Guitar Hard Rock Casino. We go up there, and I have this limit of $500 at every time, and I want to play the Wheel of Fortune. I've been saying it all day long, and so I put in my $500, I spin, and I'm losing every freaking spin. Then the delusional optimist kicks in. I have $200 left. I said, you know what? I know why I'm losing. It's because I'm playing the normal slot machine. Universe doesn't want me to win the small jackpot. Let me take out this $200. Let's go to the high stakes slot machine. I had $200. I popped the little voucher in, pull it. Wheel of Fortune. And you should have saw the look on my best friend's face. I hit for 16,000. And he said, what the fuck? Abracadabra, as I speak, I create. It's like I had this feeling this morning, and I just kept saying it over and over and over. But notice my process. Having fun. I'm going to win. And when I'm losing, it's because the universe wanted me to have something bigger. Let's go to the high stakes. I'm going to win if I'm on the high stakes. And even if I lost, I was like, we just had the best time of our lives.
Yeah, and so I guess just creating no-lose situations where you just win in any way, shape, or form because you can kind of choose. The thing I want to hone in here, though, which is interesting, is you're right. Everyone gravitates towards winners.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the time, there's losers that aren't trying to lose. They're really fucking trying.
That's all of us.
We're really trying, but we're just getting slammed on our face and nothing is working. And all we would want is just one person to tap us on the shoulder and say, keep going. You got this, mate. But there's none there because they're all over at the winners. But then when you're winning, you don't need all the support because you're fucking winning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this balance between going, I'm trying to win and I'm giving it my fucking all.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just not yet landed on that jackpot just yet. I haven't really got any licks of the ice cream and I'm getting no attention.
Mm-hmm.
And it's up to you in that moment there to trust in the process and go, no one's supporting me, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the hard part. Has there been any moments in your life where, you know, things aren't winning? And as much as you might have this bulletproof mindset, you're still getting these little bits of doubt. You're not getting any support. Your mom's telling you to go back and get a degree. And you just had to have this trust in this dark tunnel. Is there any moments you can think of?
When that girl group fired me and I went and talked to Bill Cook on that bucket on that horse farm, and he told me to start making other people's dreams come true, I shifted something in myself. I said, I need a new identity. And so I wanted to be a successful businessman. So I gave myself a superhero name. And I named myself CEO Charlie. And I decided I am losing so much and nobody's coming to save me. So I have to literally dig in deeper. And I would renew this lease in my mind every day. And people ask me, do you write the same things in your notebook every day? I said, damn near. Like, it's my dream. Like, it's like I will sit down and close my eyes. And when I see something, I know it's already done. Time hadn't caught up yet. The present sucks for all of us. I want to live in the future. Because where we are at, this is life. Life sucks. And everybody always tells us, be in the present. But guess what? When you're losing, the present is not where we want to be. But the imagination of the future is a really fun place to go to. And that's where that delusion kicks in.
It can be a fun place to go to. I would argue that, though, and say that if we can access this peace, joy, fulfillment in the present, That's the superpower. It's not about like, let's be stagnant and let's do nothing. That's not what we're put here to do. Like, we need to be in motion. We want to be achieving things. We want to be progressing. We want to build stronger relationships. We want to do all of this. But at the end of the day, the present is the only place you can really be in like a true happy place. Because I think when you're like too forward thinking or you're too backward thinking and you're thinking about the past or the future, you can't like truly soak in what you have right now. And so I wonder if you can't fully access the present moment and be present, not anywhere else, can you truly get any enjoyment and like proper fulfillment in your life?
Absolutely.
You think so?
I don't. Listen, I change my present the second I find hope. And the hope is not in the present. The hope is only in the future.
But if you're saying that there's hope, then that must mean that what we have right now is not good.
The second I see the future is the second I have hope today, right now. I have to go to the end of the tunnel in my mind to believe the path I'm on is the right path.
Yeah, so this is in the scenario in which you are in a tunnel and it's dark, because sometimes we can be in so much light, but we can't see it because we're too busy looking at what's next. And once we climb one mountain, there's another mountain to climb. And when you're a high achiever, type A driven person, you're constantly wanting the next thing. And there might even be a level of self-sabotage in there because we've achieved so much great, but we still don't like where we are right now. So we're chasing the next thing. It's not about being stagnant, but I think there's this level of peace that comes with being able to truly love where you are right now.
I only love where I'm at right now when I have hope for where I'm going. I'm not an expert in the present. I'm an expert in being happy because I'm dreaming about the future.
Do you think people lack dreams? Is that a big thing that you would be trying to spread to people? You think people don't have big enough goals and dreams?
I think they have them. I think they've always had them. And if they don't, they've just taken their heart off of its ringer. I've been very, very lucky in my life to have left my heart ringer on. I'll give you an example. You're kind of young, but you grew up with a cell phone. Your first cell phone, did you have a ringtone?
Yeah.
Was it a song?
Yeah.
And then you got rid of the ringtone and it went to like a standard ringer? And at what point did you put it on silent?
Yeah.
And then at what point did you put it on Do Not Disturb?
Right now?
It's on Do Not Disturb. Did you ever have it on Do Not Disturb back in the day? You wanted that thing to ring. You actually wanted to hear your ringtone. We've gotten scarred by that concept of notifications. And so we have this callous. And so I'll get to it. And life has scarred so many of us that our heart, which is what we say, follow your
heart.
You don't say follow your brain. Both are organs. We say follow your heart. What else do you say? Follow your
dreams.
Oh, both of those things go together, right? And then answer a
question.
Answer a calling.
Answer a calling.
So I've been very lucky to leave my heart open because I am a delusional optimist. So I have never gotten scarred by the way the world has punished me. And so when I get a calling, I'm able to answer it because I heard it ring. And so I think each and every one of us has things that light us up. When I was a little boy, basketball lit me up. Why didn't baseball? I didn't choose basketball. It's just football didn't light me up. Baseball didn't light me up. Golf didn't light me up. But why did basketball? It was meant for me. There are things that are meant for us. When you are smart enough to answer callings, you get the dream. For example, there was a gentleman who went on a spiritual journey. He was lost. He was an accountant, a CPA, and he went on a spiritual journey. And he went to the Jordan River. He went to Greece and saw all the temples, the temple of Nike, all the temples. And then he had a calling to learn about shoes. And he went to a place called Kobe, Japan. Now remember this, Kobe, Japan, to meet with a company called Tiger Shoes. Everybody thought he was crazy because why are you on this spiritual journey? And then all of a sudden you're going to a place called Kobe, Japan to meet with a company called Tiger Shoes. And everybody thought he was crazy, but he said it was a calling. He talked to that company called Tiger, and he said, I want to sell these shoes. This gentleman ended up creating the biggest shoe company in the world. But what's so interesting about it is the biggest shoe company in the world, his three biggest artists, his three biggest athletes, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Tiger Woods. He went to the Jordan River. He went to Kobe, Japan, to meet with a shoe company called Tiger Shoes. This is Phil Knight's story. It was already done that he was going to have the greatest shoe company. He just had to answer the calling. And all the signs were there. And when they found the oldest pair of shoes in the history of the world in a cave, where did they find the pair of shoes? In Oregon. That's where Phil Knight is from, and that's where Nike is headquartered. It was already done. The possibilities of every single thing that you're called to is guaranteed. It's just, are you smart enough to answer the calling? When I was a little boy, I wanted to be an athlete, but I was slow and I was chubby. But it was my destiny to be an athlete. So when I was in the music industry and I'm managing some of the biggest artists in hip hop, and I got diagnosed with a brain tumor and I was 300 pounds and I was closing my eyes on that beach and I would see this Nike commercial with LeBron James, Serena Williams, and myself because I always was meant to be an athlete. It was my dream. But this makes no sense for me to go to my business partners and go to my artists and say, I'm leaving my music empire that I built, $15 million a year, and I'm going to go be in a commercial with LeBron James and Serena Williams, and I'm going to be an athlete. Makes no sense. So guess what I did? I left the music industry. I started running. And then I ran further and I ran further. And then I biked across America. I did 5 marathons. I did an Ironman in New Zealand. And I made a fan-made Nike commercial. And Nike saw it. Nike flew me to campus. Nike said, we're going to make the biggest Nike commercial in Nike history. And when I sat down and they showed me the commercial, it had LeBron James, Serena Williams, and Charlie Rocket in that commercial. My dream as a kid was always guaranteed. It just took me and my delusion to be crazy enough to answer the calling. For when I closed my eyes and I saw something, I was the one who was crazy enough to dream that big. And guess what Nike called that commercial? Dream Crazy. I was in a Super Bowl commercial with LeBron James and Serena Williams, and just a year and a half earlier, I was 300 pounds and I was in the music industry managing some of the biggest artists and diagnosed with a brain tumor thinking I was going to die. And when I looked at my life, I saw a kid that buried a dream, went on to make a lot of money, and dies. And I said, that movie sucks. What would be a good movie? That Rotten Tomato score is like a 17. What would be a 100? I said, 100 would be, what if I left the music industry and chased my original dream? That would be a good movie. So the moral of this story is, if you're crazy enough to listen to your heart, because your heart is what gets the calling. The heart is what gets the dream. The brain is going to think about logic. The brain is actually oftentimes the enemy of your heart. Your heart would say, I want to be an athlete. The brain says, you're 29 years old. You're not going to play for the Lakers. You're not going to be in the Olympics. Why would you ever think you can make a living being an athlete? That's the brain's job. But what happens when you put them in coherence and you practice your delusional optimism and you start thinking of all the possibilities? Your heart called the dream. If the brain gets in coherence and says, you know what, this is going to be easy. We're going to make a fan-made Nike commercial. Well, we need, in order to make a fan-made Nike commercial, we need a filmmaker who can make a Nike-grade Nike commercial. So, okay, Charlie, I see it. You're going to make a Nike commercial. Nike's going to see it and Nike's going to sign you. It's going to be easy. I got my brain working for me. Okay, hold on. Make some phone calls. Call some of your friends who make these like high production videos. So I'm calling my friends in Hollywood and they all said the same exact thing to me. Charlie, you need to be realistic. If you're not willing to spend 80 grand, you're not getting you're not getting a Nike commercial that's Nike grade. I said, hold on. Don't ever tell me to be realistic. I said, I'm not spending 80 grand. I'm going to find somebody who can shoot, edit, score, has the equipment for a few $1,000s. I know. They said, Charlie, that's not how it works. To make one of these types of commercials, you need at least 6 or 7 people. And it's going to be a multi-day shoot, unless you just want to make a little Instagram video. I said, no, I want to make a Nike commercial because Nike's going to watch it and Nike's going to sign me. They say, Charlie, you're talking crazy. I said, I know. There's a restaurant here on Melrose, and I took this film producer out to dinner, and I told him what I was looking for. And he said to me, Charlie, you need to be realistic. You're not going to find one person who can do all of that. And I got pissed. And I walked out and I told my friend, I said these words. I said, I hate when people tell me to be realistic. Nothing I've done my entire life has ever been realistic. I said, I'm going to find my videographer and editor who's going to make this commercial, and I'm going to find him tomorrow. I'm in Santa Monica the next morning. I'm writing in my notebook, and I write these words. Today is the day I searched/found my videographer/editor. It's done! ! It's easy! ! Hour later, my roommate walks in the front door, and my roommate should never have a cameraman following him. Ever. He's like a business development for like a goji berry company that sells goji berries to Whole Foods. But walking in behind him is this guy with this huge Steadicam rig with all the accessories. And I look at him and I'm like looking at my notebook and I'm like, this guy does videos. Maybe this is like the magical abracadabra moment I was looking for. But then the second I asked him if he does videos, it was like a dark cloud was talking. And I was like, oh, God. I said, do you do videos? He said, yeah, I do videos, but nobody ever pays me. And I'm like, oh, God, this is not going to be my guy. I'm like a very like happy person. This guy's like a dark cloud. And I said, can I see some of your work? He said, yeah, I have a website, but I haven't updated in like 7 years. I was like, okay, like let me open his website. Like I've lost all hope at this point. I click on a short film and I said, who shot this? He said, I shot it. I said, who owned all the equipment? Because, like a film, like that's a massive budget. And he said, well, I own all my own equipment. I'm kind of like a hoarder. Like anytime I make money, like I just like buy, I have lighting, I have dolly tracks, I have anamorphic lenses, I have this, I have that. I was like, you have all of that. I said, who edited it? Because in filmmaking, the person who shoots usually doesn't edit. He said, well, I edited it too. I said, who did the scoring on this? Because film is only about the music. If the music doesn't hit your heart and it doesn't feel right, it's a terrible film. And the person who shoots and the person who edits and the person who owns the equipment definitely doesn't do the scoring. And I said, who did the scoring? He said, well, I used to be in a rock band. And we were on the Warped Tour 15 years ago, and we had a record deal, but the record label dropped us. I said, hold on. So you're telling me that you made all the music? Yeah. I said, who mixed and mastered the audio? Because it was so rich. He said, well, I have a studio in my bedroom. I said, you did everything on this. He said, yeah, I did everything. I said, Liz, look at my notebook. And I said I was going to find you today. And you walked in my front door. And he said, what are you talking about? I said, we're going to make a fan-made Nike commercial and Nike's going to see it and Nike's going to sign me. He said, dude, you sound crazy. I said, I know. That's the whole point. Like, this is my dream. And we sat down at a restaurant called The Counter. And we were eating some vegan burgers. And I told him my ideas, and he pulled out a piece of paper and he started sketching out these frames. And I said, how much will it cost to make this? And he said, $660. I said, why $660? He said, well, we need a 10-foot PVC pipe with 2 elbows. We need 2 belts. We need a skateboard. And if we rent this anamorphic lens on a Friday, we can keep it all weekend. I said, why a 10-foot PVC pipe? He said, because I need the camera to be the same exact distance from your feet at all times. And I'm going to have you run. And this background is going to change. And you're going to run all throughout LA. And the background's going to change. And it's going to be your feet. And when you run, we're going to make a beat out of it. Your steps are going to be a beat. And your breath is going to add to the beat. And it's going to build. And we're going to do these Hans Zimmer type strings about 3/4 the way through. And I'm like, oh my God, like, I thought back to dinner the night before where the guy told me to be realistic, and I told him I'm going to find the videographer. And we shot this fan-made Nike commercial and we put it out. And 3 days later, my phone rings and it's a guy by the name of Andy Miguel. And the caller ID said Beaverton, Oregon. And there's only one company in Beaverton, Oregon, and that's Nike. And he said, Charlie, we don't know how you did it, but you managed to get our campus in a frenzy, fighting over who's going to bring you here first. Long story short, all the dreams that I saw in my mind were real. I was just crazy enough to show up and answer the calling. And the universe conspired for me. Did I make 100 phone calls to find that videographer? No. I did take about 10 meetings and phone calls before, but that videographer walked in my front door. Unsuccessful, not decorated, struggling himself. And I got to win an Emmy in my lifetime, a year and a half after winning a Grammy from being in the music industry, and that Nike commercial became the biggest Nike commercial in history.
Let's fucking go. Let's go. The lesson here, don't ever put realistic in the same sentence as dreams. Fuck that.
Mm-mm.
Don't set dreams that are realistic. That's besides the point. The dreams are supposed to be non-realistic. They're supposed to be crazy. They're supposed to stand out. And guess what? You're not going to get there smooth sailing every time. You're going to have those 10 people that tell you no. You're going to get slammed on your face. But it's up to you to realize that that's all part of it. And I think if we can have this frame that you've been sharing throughout this whole episode of good, bad, you get to choose. If we get slammed on our face, that's good. One step closer to a win. If we make that a win, even better. It's like if we can just make sure we keep these wins going and we do not make our goals and our dreams realistic, we fucking shoot for the stars, we're going to like be buckling in this car and we're going to have a fucking awesome time. We're going to be riding towards something great. And I just think this message is profound. It's this, like, if you have a fucking dream, like, chase that thing. And make sure that it's not realistic. Make sure that it is scary. Make sure that people do laugh at it. Because if it's not, then, I don't know, maybe you're writing it in a book that's too small and you need to be a bit more expansive. You need to be a bit more alive and give you something that scares you enough that you want to spring out of bed in the morning to make sure you chase it.
Want to know what's interesting? So far on this podcast, this is kind of like theoretical conversation. But there's actually a process that I've done my entire life. And I can tell you a couple more stories that start connecting some dots and some patterns of how I've attracted lightning to strike more than 50 times in my life. I'll give you an example. After the Nike commercial came out, all my dreams came true. I was an athlete. I was in a commercial. I was on the cover of Runner's World magazine. I was in New Zealand doing an Ironman. I biked across America. My athlete dream came true. And so I asked myself, well, what's next? And I was like, you know what? Now it's time to reach my hand back and help others. And so I started a nonprofit called the Dream Machine Foundation. And I'm touring all across America in my bus. I sold my houses, I moved into a bus, and I started traveling all over America helping people, mainly kids with cancer. And it got to a point where I was giving everything away. And we're running out of money. I've already sold 3 of my houses, and I assumed if I help enough people, there's going to be donors who call and like, we're going to fund your mission. Didn't happen. And so I kept giving my own money over and over and over. And we had one sponsor for the tour, and I had a manager. His name was Dan. I get to New York, and I had a falling out with my manager because I needed help. And I was out there just helping, and I'm tired and I'm exhausted, and the bank account is going to zero. And it hit zero, and my manager left. Dark time. It's one of those like punching the pillow moments in my life. On the phone with my mom, screaming because I'm so freaking frustrated that like this entire thing I took a risk on is falling apart. And so I had a cameraman with me and I had an intern with me, and we're on an old 2006 Winnebago that would break down every day, and we called it the Dream Machine. It was more like a nightmare machine at the time. We go to Atlantic City to pause the tour, and I'm going to just find a way for us to make phone calls to get some money so we can keep helping these kids. And there was a church, and they had a labyrinth. And I'm walking around the labyrinth, manifesting. And I was like, we need a blessing. We need a blessing. We need a blessing. And I actually saw something. When I close my eyes, and if I close them long enough, I will see something. And I saw $500,000 come in. And so walking around this labyrinth, I started dancing as if it came in. And I started like telling my friends, I was like, we're about to get 500,000. I saw it. It's going to happen. And I have this process of speaking it to everybody as if it's already done. And so we're in an Airbnb. I'm making some phone calls, trying to raise some money. We got a couple $1,000s. And the phone rang from a company called Hasbro. It's a big toy company. And they said, Charlie, we want to work with you. We want to donate. And I told my team, I was like, this is the big one. I saw 500,000. Hasbro just called. This is going to be the big one. They said, let's get on a Zoom call the next day. Zoom call pops up. And we started off the Zoom call instead of the normal, like, what's the weather like? Where are you at? No. We started off the Zoom call singing A Million Dreams from The Greatest Showman. And we're like we're like trying to create this energy, and we know this is the big one. This is a big company. And they said, we want to donate to you. And they said $50,000. And my heart dropped because like partly I'm so grateful. Like it's a huge blessing. But when I was in the labyrinth, I saw 500,000. And so like I'm in this like place of like, why aren't you grateful? You should be grateful. I needed the big blessing. This helps, but not that much. And it's like, I thought a dream was coming true. So I came back down to earth and I told the boys, like, we got a lot more work to do. Let's work our lines today. 1,000 phone calls. Next day, Hasbro calls back. They said, we passed this concept of working with you through the team, and the higher ups wanted to get involved. And it's not going to be 50,000 anymore. It's going to be 150,000. And I'm like shocked. Nobody ever calls back and says they're giving more money. And then the next day, they called back again and said the CEO loved this idea. We're donating $450,000. And this was this moment was like such proof again that like if you see something, like I didn't negotiate. I was grateful for the 50, but I know a few days earlier I saw the 500, and we ended up raising $750,000 in 2 weeks. And 500 of that was from Hasbro. And in the darkest moment, Santa Claus delivers the presents.
How do people that don't seem to access these synchronicities in their life actually get this? Because a lot of people would be listening and just thinking this is all a bit woo and a little bit like, come on, mate, like you've got nothing to back this up. You're sharing all these stories about all these amazing synchronicities and how it all kind of lined up perfectly. There's going to be a lot of people that don't feel that, and it's not hitting. And so I wonder what's missing in someone's life for them to not access these things. Do you know?
Delusion.
They don't have delusion.
That's it. There's this child, like I'm a 37-year-old man. I have done almost everything I've ever dreamed of. I grew up in a family that sold vacuum cleaners. My parents did not make more than $40,000 a year combined. I didn't have the resources, but I believed that everything I wanted was going to be easy. What do most people when they go into something think? Like, what does entrepreneur culture, hustle culture say? You got to grind.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard. You can literally hear the internet motivational speaker being like, you got to grind. It's going to be hard. Like, you got to push through the pain. Like, you've heard that a million times. I do the opposite. Every time I go into anything, I say it's going to be easy. If you're listening to this right now and you don't fully feel what I'm saying, that's okay. Is the way you're doing it working? It might not be. And here's this like crazy guy talking on a podcast about how he's just lived a really fun life, doing anything he thought of. Maybe there's something there. Maybe it is worth waking up tomorrow and finding 10 wins and starting a winning streak and see what attracts in your life. And maybe it is time to pull out a notebook and be delusional for 10 minutes and go into the future, because the future can be a really amazing place. The future can also be a really bad place. If that's what you're imagining. Maybe there is something to being a little delusional, because it's a really fun way to live when everything in your life sucks.
Yeah, I probably sit in the middle of these beliefs. I don't like this, like, you gotta work until your eyeballs bleed, like nature. I don't resonate with that.
But
However,
they're not wrong.
Sorry?
They're not wrong.
Well, what do you mean?
I work very hard.
Yeah.
But I also will sleep in. But there are chapters in my life where I do work till my eyes bleed. I just don't make that my identity.
Yeah, I just don't think that the message of work till your eyeballs bleed is powerful. Like, my eyes are probably bloodshot right now. Like, we've been going. It's been a lot. But when it's tied to passion and something that truly excites you, it's not a matter of like, this is fucking hard. To me, like, building this building is fucking hard, and laying the concrete is hard, and carrying this table into the thing was the hardest part of the whole thing. Right?
Yeah.
This thing's heavy. It's solid wood.
Yeah.
You know? Like, that's hard. I think framing things in a way that's hard, when really maybe it's long hours or it's strategic work or something. I just don't think that's as powerful. But I think one of the things you've been talking about is this identity piece of believing it's going to happen before it happens.
Mhm.
It's already happened. Time is just catching up. And that book's from Sedona, and one of my early mentors that changed my whole mindset from being this scarce kid,
Mhm.
grew up with not a lot of money, to then having a bit more of abundance mindset. He completely switched my mindset when I was a young lad. I was driving to the gym every morning. I was going there at like 3:30 a.m. in the morning. It was dark, and every morning I'd put his podcast on. His name was Jim Fortin, and he had this podcast called Transform Your Life from the Inside Out. Now,
Mhm.
fast forward to now, I went to his house in Sedona and filmed a podcast with him. It was really surreal and cool. But he taught me this concept called be, do, have. And he was
Mhm.
like, yeah, most people live in the have, do, be. And it's
Mhm.
like, when I have these things, I'm going to be able to do these things, so then I can be this person.
Yes.
But the problem there is like you're constantly waiting.
Yeah.
You don't have those things right now, so you can't start doing the things that you need to do to be that person.
Mhm.
But he said to flip that. He's
Yeah.
like, you need to be, do, have.
Mhm.
You need to be the person that you want to be and
Mhm.
do the things that that person does. And then by doing so, you'll have the life that that person has.
Mhm.
And when I flipped that in my mindset, things really started to change,
Mhm.
because I wasn't waiting for the dream job. I wasn't waiting for the dream partner. I didn't wait to have all these things in my life. I just started being the person that already had those things. And then guess what happened? The things
The
happened and
question
flowed
is,
into my
how
life.
do you be? Because that is very difficult concept for people. So explain how you be, and then everybody will be able to understand. How do you be first?
Well, I think here's the thing is it's all identity. And so the way it is like, I want to get in shape
Mm-hmm.
and I want a six pack.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be ripped,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not ripped right now.
Mm-hmm.
The identity of someone that is ripped is one that trains every day.
Mm-hmm.
He eats good food.
Mm-hmm.
He says no to bad vices,
So you can be him today.
and he stays disciplined.
Yeah, you could be all that today.
You can be all of that today.
Yeah.
But if you want what he has, but you're not willing to be the person he is that is helping him maintain the body that you want,
Mm-hmm.
you may be able to get in shape through a diet, but you're not going to keep it.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I can stay in good shape all year round is not because of the diet that I'm on.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it's my life,
Mm-hmm.
and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I would prefer to eat the steak and sweet potato than the burger.
Mm.
That's why I stay in shape, because my identity is reinforcing the habits of a person that is staying in shape.
Yeah.
And I think anything that you want in your life, the thing is not about changing your behavior. When you change the identity and the stories that you're telling yourself that are reinforcing your identity, what happens downstream from that is your behavior changes. And this is this whole idea around manifesting and doing all of the things. It's like, I truly believe when we remove the buzzwords, what it really is you are deciding on something and then you're doing it, and you're being that person before it happens, and you're showing up in that way. And like, people can feel that, and people want to be around that. You're on a winning streak
Mhm.
internally,
Mm-hmm.
and that gravitates all these people and opportunities and energies and things into your life that you've always wanted. But don't expect to, have a rich life if you're poor.
I've actually done this twice in my life, and I'm about to do it a third time literally right now. The first time I wanted to be somebody I'm not. I gave myself a superhero name, CEO Charlie, and I changed my outfit. I was in high school. I put on a suit. I replaced my backpack with a briefcase. And I told everybody exactly what I'm going to be. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to be a businessman. I became a businessman. It started with a suit. It started with a name. Everybody at school called me CEO. That was my name. And in the music industry, like my girlfriend, she experiences it. If I call an old friend of mine from the music industry, they're like, "What up, CEO?" That was my name. But I had to give myself a name and an outfit to dress up as that superhero. And then when I wanted to become an athlete, I mean, what would you refer to me as today? Charlie
Rocket?
Rocket. There we go. I wanted to be an athlete. So I gave myself a superhero name. I started wearing colorful colors. I wanted to be this bright light. And I looked at myself as a rocket because all rockets start off slow. and I'm slow, but I'm going to get fast. And so that's why I'm a rocket. The first mile is like so slow and takes a lot of force. And that was me at 300 pounds. And then I got to a place where I was able to do an Ironman. And so I'm actually going into a new chapter of my life right now where I'm writing a book. Now, a book is like a really big, scary thing for me because one, I've never done it. Two, I'm not exactly a great writer, but I have a dream of like writing one of the greatest books ever written. And so I start looking up other books that have sold a lot, and they're like, oh, that one sold 10 million. That one sold 30 million. That one sold 150 million. I want one of those. So I'm living there in the future. But then I'm like, okay, I need a new identity. And so I went online and I started looking at like style. What would be the style of an amazing author? And I identified this like Ivy League streetwear to wear like varsity jacket, which is like winning. Like to me, I like being on a winning streak. So that's like winning in sports. But like underneath, like this like Ivy League, very smart, but still streetwear look. And I'm like, I'm going to change my entire style. I'm going to change everything about the way my content looks, how I look, how I identify myself. And I'm going to take an opportunity. If I have a chance to tell a person I'm going to be one of the best-selling authors in the world, and I'm writing a classic right now, I'm going to speak it. So this is my process. Be it, one, I need my outfit. I need my identity. Speak it. And then I go into the future and I look at all these authors that have sold so much, and I'm only putting myself in that category where in reality is this might be hard. It might be like there is a possibility it falls flat on its face. But no. Let's keep going back to this like very delusional fun. And I start looking at houses with my girl. I'm like, if we sold 50 million copies, like I looked up The Alchemist. The Alchemist sold 150 million copies, where like Mel Robbins' Let Them Theory sold 7 million. I'm like, both are amazing. I'm like, if I sold 7 million copies, it's like, okay, what house do you want? Let's go look at houses. So literally the other night, we're looking at houses, going to open houses, like we're making plans now. Oh no, we need the house that we can grow into when we have a family. So we need the guest house for the nanny quarters. Very important. We need the pool. I need a hot tub. Like I'm making plans today for something that I have no idea how to do, but I'm going through my process. Give myself a superhero name. I delusionally dream in the future. I consistently tell myself it's going to be easy. And then I start actually making plans for exactly what's going to happen. Like I'm going to buy that $21 million house that I want in Malibu. So I'm going to go look at that house right now, and it's on my refrigerator, and I'm making plans because I am delusional. And there's a reason why I keep getting what I want in life, because I actually practice a process. It's not, I mean, sometimes, I'm not going to lie. Sometimes somebody will walk through my front door and change my life. It does happen. But there's a reason why it happens to me. The other part of it is I do show up. And I actually act as if I'm going to sell 30 million copies of a book. And so I practice every day going to the future. When I think about that house, that's the future. And it gives me hope today. And my actions today act in a much bigger way than if I were thinking, I might only sell 10,000 copies. Like, it might be really hard. Like, how am I going to do it? Like, if it's hard versus this is going to be a sensation. So I actually show up to do it. If you think about like high school, do you want to go to the hard class?
The art class? No.
The hard class.
Oh, the hard class? No.
No. Do you want to go to the easy class?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that simple. It is a process. What I'm talking about here with the law of delusion, there's actually a process to how I get there, and I practice it every single day.
What would you say is something that you feel like's lacking in life right now?
In my life?
Yeah.
My health is always a constant battle. I see other people, they'll eat the steak and sweet potato and they get their goals. I eat the steak and sweet potato and I'm still challenged.
Why?
The delusion in me will say that my health, I'm not at a six pack yet. Do I want a six pack? Maybe not. I just want to go to Zara and wear like a size medium. Like, I think medium would look good on me. I just would like a little bit of a jawline instead of the puffiness in the face. I don't need like a six pack, but I will find a gift in my struggle, in that I'm here to teach. And maybe my struggles with health make me more human. And maybe that's what people need, because if I had a six pack and I'm telling you all these stories, people might not even believe I'm like them.
I'll challenge that, because you've got a comparison point, and that makes it even more powerful, because you've gone from A to B and the transformation's crazy, and that gives people belief.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when you look at all of the common denominators in people that make the most change is they've got a transformation.
Mm-hmm.
They clearly weren't what they are right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe the six pack's hard to get. I mean, if you could argue that if you reprogram your identity and shop in that way, then it becomes easy. But the six pack might be hard to get. But I wonder if the goal's impact.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how much that actually unlocks.
Mm. The cool thing about me is I wake up every day and I try as if I've never failed before. Because I lost 120 pounds. When I started my nonprofit, I gained back 70. And that was by eating healthy. It's just I needed that one extra meal that was maybe 300-400 calories, because I'm working 18 hours a day, and food is energy, and my body stores a lot of fat when I'm not at 1,800 calories a day. If I'm at 2,400, that adds up over a couple of years for me. My metabolism's a little bit slower. I was dealt a difficult hand, but I wake up every day and I'm like, no, like, it's starting to click. I'm still delusional in the fact that, like, okay, like, I've gained weight technically this year from where I started in the year, and I should probably be beating myself up. But my girlfriend, she sees me every day. Now, today's the day. Like, I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna find the sweet spot. I'm adjusting, okay, my carbs at this amount, or my protein at this amount. Every day, I'm thinking the new thing I'm gonna do to find the sweet spot, that's the thing that's giving me hope. And then when it doesn't, I'm sad for a little while, and then I'm like, this isn't fun. Let's find a new sweet spot. I'm going to listen to a podcast. I'm going to try to learn something, and then I try again delusionally, like, no, this is going to be the one. And then, like, I have friends that make fun of me. They're like, Charlie, you're a restart rocket. You're always restarting. And I'm like, one time I'm going to be right. And then you're not going to be able to say that, but I don't give up. I just got to find the sweet spot.
What in that book is exciting you? Is there any big goals and anything you're striving towards at the moment?
I can't wait to talk about it. Abracadabra. I am going to speak of exactly what's going to happen. My book. Now, this is going to be a really cool life trophy for me. Like, I really love the opportunity to do something I've never done before and that I'm not good at. I'm the king of starting over, because I like blank canvases. I want to paint a new picture. So me going into an author chapter is totally different than anything I've ever done. So I'm going to say it here, and this will be fun one day looking back at this. I'm going to write a book that really helps a lot of people understand the process of delusion and how it's such a gift in not just chasing your dreams, but just being happy today. I have amazing stories, and I've also studied the most successful people in the world that have this same exact process, and they've done it on repeat. So I'm going to compile that together, and it's going to be this thing that changes a lot of people's lives. And it's going to sell a bunch of books, and I'm going to release it on November 27th of next year, Black Friday. I know the day. I know what the cover looks like. It's going to look like this book from 1917. It's not going to have a paper cover on it. It's not going to have my face on it. It's this linen material, old school. I want to make a classic. So if my book's going to be a classic, it has to look like a classic. And I want it to be almost like this fashion statement to where like your girlfriend buys it just as a coffee table book. Like I know how it looks, I know how it feels, and I know what the future is going to look like because I kept getting these downloads, and it's going to be one of the greatest books ever written. And it's going to be very unique. It's going to be the combination between a autobiography and a self-development book, but it's going to be story driven, and it's going to just light people's souls on fire, and it's really going to get them in a process of chasing their dreams, believing that it's easy, showing up, and being delusional about what they want. I would love to make the world delusional optimists. The world would be a much better place.
I believe you, man. You got this. Let's go.
Thank you, man.
Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you, dude.
Absolutely, man. Right in time. Thanks for having me on, brother.
Fuck yeah, Charlie. Let's go.